Hi, everyone, and welcome to our final week of Education 438, teaching reading and writing in the content area. I am here with a day 16 overview for you. Today's a pretty laid back day. We've got some reading, and remember that I changed the due date for stage 3 of your unit plan until tonight. So hopefully, other than reading, you'll be able to mostly focus on that. So this video is going to start with a quick recap of the reading that we did about writing instruction last week and some of my major takeaways. Then we're going to move into the topics for today as well as the objectives. I'm going to give you some essential questions to consider as you do today's reading, and then we'll do some reminders at the end of this. So let's jump right into recap and my takeaways. So last week we started reading The Writing Revolution, and this text for me, I think I mentioned this last week, is a really, really useful, very practical text. The text, at least the chapters that we read last week, outlined the Huckman method and the Writing Revolution principles of writing instruction. The reading also asked you to think about using sentence instruction to build foundational writing skills and to think about sentence expansion activities that help with understanding, processing, and writing about new information or complex content within your field. The writers also stress note-taking and foundational knowledge and explicit instruction of note-taking and why note-taking is so important. So some big takeaways for me, these are things that I've been thinking about as I reread last week's reading on writing and as I've just been thinking about writing instruction. So when done explicitly, systematically, and in a sequenced, logical way, teaching writing is teaching thinking. And I thought about myself, and even for myself, this is true. A lot of times, my first draft of something, my brainstorming of something, is really just me thinking through my argument, thinking through how I am engaging with the content. And I think this is something that I've tried to convey to my students time and time again at the high school level, right? Is that writing is difficult because thinking complexly can be difficult, right? But when writing instruction is done explicitly, when it's done systematically, and when it happens a lot, and when it happens in a sequenced order, we really are helping our students learn critical thinking as well. So something to keep in mind. The other big takeaway for me is the importance of foundational skills. So not skipping over things like sentence instruction or paragraph instruction, right? But really laying the foundation with starting kind of small and building from there. Another huge thing for me, modeling activities, practicing with the students, right? Modeling for the students how you do writing. I found this to be so useful in the classroom. I started doing this, I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, where I would have students give me a topic and I would create a thesis statement for them and then create an introduction paragraph around that. And I would just kind of like let them watch me and let them see me wrestle with writing myself, because it showed them that writing doesn't necessarily always come easy for me either, right? It's a process. And this brings me to my last big takeaway, this notion that teachers should be and are writers, right? We are teaching students how to become expert writers in our content fields, which means that we should always be trying to grow our own writing skills in our content field. It's something that's huge for me, right? So modeling activities, writing and practicing with students, and of course, writing within the content in our own time, right? It's going to make us more expert writers in our content fields as we try to pass on those skills to our students and help them develop them. So today we're going to be moving into the importance of planning and effective writing. We're going to talk about writer purpose and the Writing Revolution's 3 types of identified writing. They are very big on the single paragraph, as am I, right? So outlining and drafting the single paragraph, and then modeling, scaffolding, and differentiating the single paragraph outline for the variety of student learners that you have in your classroom. So actually, something that I wanted to share with you all is that even in the upper levels, like 11th and 12th grade, I don't have students jump right into writing essays from the get-go. Generally, we spend the whole, I would say maybe 2-3 months looking at sentence creation and we're outlining and creating a single paragraph, right? Because I think if students can learn to do those 2 things really well, craft a variety of good sentences and create a single paragraph surrounding a topic, whatever you're kind of asking them to do in the content area. If they can do those 2 things, it's going to make moving into the more extended writing assignments a little bit easier for them. So your learning objectives, you will consider the importance of planning and writing effective paragraphs and compositions. This is chapter 5 of the Writing Revolution. You will understand the importance of outlining and drafting paragraphs before asking students to do larger, those extended, longer scale writing assignments. You will examine the single paragraph outline format, considering how to model, scaffold, and differentiate the process of SPO for your own students. So here are some questions that I would like you to think about or consider as you're diving into today's reading. So how does having a coherent plan for writing enhance confidence, reduce stress, and increase creativity? So for many of us who have been writing for a long time, or like writing comes really natural to us, we might think, oh, okay, our students, some of them don't need to worry about outlining or brainstorming. They can just jump right in. But I guarantee that a lot of our students who are struggling writers or who don't have confidence in writing, they really need to have that coherent plan in place because it's going to help them build confidence. It's going to help them reduce stress. It's going to actually increase creativity. I know sometimes we think, oh, okay, outlining, brainstorming actually kills the creative process, but I want you to think about this differently, right? How could planning actually increase creativity? What do student writers need to know and understand before writing a paragraph or a longer composition? Why is it important to ask students to write for different audiences and different purposes? This is us thinking about that rhetorical situation, right? Students aren't going to always be writing just for us and our content. So how can we ask them to write for different audiences and for different purposes? In a lot of ways, this is what you're asking students to do with those performance tasks that you created for your unit plan, right? Is teaching students to outline and draft a single paragraph a crucial investment of time? And this question right here is the question I want you to explore for your attendance participation grade for today, okay? So is teaching students to outline and draft a single paragraph a crucial investment of time? How much time should we spend on this, right? Weeks, months? What does this look like? Do you think this is a good use of classroom time in your particular content? And then finally, how might the single paragraph outline benefit all students? Why is it important to engage in modeling and scaffolding activities prior to assigning a single paragraph outline for students to complete on their own, or a paragraph in general? Okay, so remember that for your attendance participation grade today, you are answering this fourth question: is teaching students to outline and draft a single paragraph a crucial investment of time? Some reminders. I just mentioned what question you're exploring today, so just make sure to comment on this video with your name and your answer to that question. And maybe you don't know the answer yet, right? Maybe you're just kind of exploring it, and that's okay too. Reminder that your unit plan stage 3 moved to being now due tonight from last night, okay? So hopefully that gave you a little bit more wiggle room. And remember that also you're not gonna have a video tomorrow because we have class. It's our final class. And in that class, we're gonna be presenting our inquiry projects to one another. I got to read and engage with them, and I want your peers to get to do so as well, or at least a small group of them. So I will send out a reminder about that tomorrow, but make sure that you come to our final Zoom ready to do a very casual presentation on your inquiry projects, okay? So that is all for today. If you have any questions, as always, please reach out, and I will see you all tomorrow on our last required Zoom.